We return now to the top story of the day, Donald Trump Jr.'s release of emails showing he met with a Russian lawyer during the 2016 presidential campaign in hopes of gaining damaging information about Hillary Clinton. For a closer look at the political fallout from all this, we turn to Karine Jean-Pierre, a senior advisor to MoveOn.org and a veteran of the Obama administration, and Matt Schlapp. He's chairman of the American Conservative Union and the former deputy political director for President George W. Bush. And it's great to have you both back on the program. Thank you for being here. So, Karine, to you first, how damaging is all this information about the Donald Trump Jr. meeting?
I think it's pretty damaging. We finally have evidence, emails that were not fake news because it was actually delivered, released by Don Jr., that shows that he and Paul Manafort and Jared Kushner met with a foreign agent in the sole purpose of trying to get information given by a foreign adversary, intelligence from a foreign adversary. And I think that's pretty damaging. I think for a long time, Republicans have been moving that goalpost, right? They've been saying, oh, there's no meeting. Oh, well, if there's no meeting, there's no proof of collusion. Nobody on the campaign knows have any Russian connections. Well, now we're at a point where, yep, there's a meeting. It looks like there could potentially be collusion. And now what? Now what do Republicans do?
Matt, how do you see the damage?
Well, you know,
or not?
Well, what I have said continually is that my guess is in the presidential campaign they will have emails or phone conversations or meetings with people that were trying to be helpful to the campaign. So this doesn't come as a big shock to me. I think the big mistake that they've made is whenever you're involved in one of these investigations, and I was in a White House that had a special counsel, you search your emails immediately, you go through if you have phone logs, and you look through all the information and you just fully comply. You're as completely transparent as you possibly can be. Actually, the reason we know this is because Jared Kushner and Paul Manafort updated the disclosure to the government, and they were much more fulsome in the information they gave, which was the right thing to do. It just would have been better if that could have been done as soon as possible. It's the drip, drip, drip that gives the press the ability to write another story and another story, but the underlying facts still prove absolutely no criminality.
Absolutely no criminality. We had a discussion about this a few minutes ago with two lawyers.
Yeah, well, we don't know that for sure. I mean, look, to me, it looks like textbook collusion. It looks like campaign finance violation, at least for me, someone who's worked on campaigns and just like yourself, worked in the White House. These are things.
You guys were never under investigation.
Well, right. We were never on investigation. Thank goodness. Obama, 8 years, no investigation.
We're pretty nice.
But look, I think this is the problem. If they want true transparency, this is the Trump administration, why don't they just put it all out there?
That's why Donald Trump Jr. did this.
Yeah, but the only reason they do it is because you have the Washington Post out there and the New York Times doing the work and putting out the information in piecemeal.
Or maybe there being a leak inside the White House or inside the apparatus.
That's Donald Trump's problem.
Can I go, Judy, to this question of an FEC violation? Because I saw the conversation in the show as well. And the FEC has put on their website,
this is the Federal Elections Commission.
Right, you can go on their website and check it out, but they've already said that the idea that you could prove criminality unless there was cash that went directly to a candidate is almost impossible to prove. So I think the FEC violations here are absurd. The idea that this is treason, that this was taking up arms against your own country, I think is absurd. And then you have this question of collusion, which isn't really a legal term. And then I love this potential collusion. I don't even know where you go on that. Right. Look, the bottom line is we want to know this. Did anybody on Team Trump do anything illegal with the Putin government that somehow subverted the elections? That's a pretty big charge, but an easy charge to eventually answer. And I think we all just want to get that answer. Then close the books on this. The American people are fair, and let's move on.
Is the standard of legality, Karine, going to be the only standard that matters here?
So I think that matters as well, but we cannot forget that Russians actually attacked our country. They tried to undermine our democracy, and that is actually still happening. There was a Washington Post, a recent reporting that showed that Russians were currently trying to hack into our infrastructure. And so this is what I'm not understanding, why Republicans aren't just standing up and saying something and keeping Trump administration and his associates accountable.
I agree with this. I think what Russia's tried to do in this most recent election, in previous elections, is wrong. I think it's wrong what the DNC was doing with the government of Ukraine to try to help Hillary Clinton. I think these things really should be, well, but it is
not the same.
If you shouldn't deal with a foreign national, then you shouldn't deal with a foreign national.
Russia is a foreign adversary. It is not the same. same, and the DNC denied it, but Russia is not. Russia is a foreign adversary.
I want to come to something
Sure.
because what has struck me, Matt Schlapp, is the comments from conservative commentators in the last day or so about what's happened. Charles Krauthammer, who said last night, "I've been defending this White House, this administration for months. Now I find out what they were doing, and I'm left basically hanging out to dry." I mean, are you seeing some Republicans, some conservatives, feeling as if the administration hasn't been straight with them?
Of course, what you're seeing from Republicans and conservatives, when you see the drip, 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 and with this revelation that there was a meeting, it does get people concerned. They say, "Oh, I didn't think there was going to be a meeting. I thought I would have learned this by now." That's why getting all the information out is awfully important. Get it all out. My advice is to anybody listening on the Trump team, get the emails out, get the calendar items out, get everything out. If you have nothing to hide, just put it all out there. I think that's what now they have done with the refiling of their disclosures, which is why we know about this meeting. So it was their disclosure that is the reason we know this. Donald Jr., yes, he put out his emails, but it was also true that the media had gotten them. So having full disclosure will calm people down, because all really conservatives care about at the end, Judy, was there wrongdoing?
Karine, we are seeing in poll after poll, I haven't seen polls since this latest information came out, but the conservative, Donald Trump's voting base, they're sticking with him. They're saying, we don't care about Russia for the most part. I'm making a bit of a blanket statement here, but they're saying what we want to see is, we want to see something done about health care. We want to see jobs.
I think that's exactly right. But here's the thing. Voters didn't care about Watergate until they did. And the issue that I have with that is these elected officials on the Hill have a duty, they have a responsibility, regardless if voters care or not. They took an oath to protect the Constitution, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign or domestic. And so therefore, they should care that there was an attack on our country. So I think that is what is, really kind of getting under my skin is, this is truly important.
And you do have the committees doing the investigation.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that is that what Russia tries to do with our cybersecurity and our society on a daily basis with espionage is a big problem. I agree with you on that. I actually think the Obama administration, he was in charge during this period of time. He actually left us vulnerable. And he left our potentially, if you're making the charge that they had something to do with our election system, he was the sheriff in town. The DNC was hacked. I think that what we need to do is make sure that we work in a bipartisan way to make sure that they can't affect our society this way.
But Republicans are making this a partisan issue. They're not
I
being
think there's
bipartisan.
a little bit of that to go
Mitch
around.
McConnell hasn't stood up, basic rhetoric, not real conversation about it. And Paul Ryan, they need to stand up and speak.
All right.
Louder.
we may have another chance to talk about this again. It may not be the last chance.
Sorry, Judy.
Karine Jean-Pierre, it's all right. Matt Schlapp, thank you both for being here.
I'm hopeful for a new topic.
Yes, you are.
Thanks,
Thank
Judy.
you.